Hello everybody and welcome back once more to Anime Yay or Nay. I am TheOutbackAl.
I'm Yin&Jung.
And I'm Chibi Noob.
And is it anime?
No.
Nay. But it's basically anime, so we're
Sort
gonna
of.
Is it?
I mean, what is animation if not making living motion out of something that is not living?
This one is barely animation, let alone anime.
Yeah.
It's, when you think about it, puppeteering and
Ow.
marionetting is the most real version of 3D animation you can think of. So,
I mean,
You could make an argument.
let me have this.
I was gonna say, I'm like, you're fighting an uphill battle here, bud.
Yeah, but I do think my argument holds in the weirdest way some weight. Anyway, we watched Team America World Police. It came out in 2004, so it's the 20th anniversary of it, and why not for America Month? I mean, it gave us the true theme song of America, so we might as well cover it. So, yeah, I take it I'm the only one who's originally seen this. I think,
yeah.
So, what were you guys' first impressions here?
I lost brain cells watching this.
Sounds about right.
I mean, listen, this feels like something that would have been made in 2004,
Mhm.
let alone it was made by the people who also made South Park.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes sense. But it's just, obviously this is something I would never gravitate towards because I don't really even watch South Park at all. But it's kind of like, this falls very much into the category of what I feel like people who watched a lot of like Jeff Dunham back in the day would have liked, maybe?
I feel like you're throwing some shade at me right now. I'm a South Park fan.
Who's Jeff
I
Dunham?
mean,
The puppet dude.
The puppet comedian from like way back when.
Yeah, no.
I don't know anything about it.
Way outside your wheelhouse.
All right.
Yeah, he was from a long time ago.
Oh no, he's
But
still making stuff.
I mean, I'm sure he is. I'm just not aware of it. But this was kind of the vibe that I got from this.
2004, you mean?
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, it is. What were your thoughts? Because I was convinced I had shown this to you before.
I don't remember if you have or haven't. If you had, then I either repressed it or forgot or just, I don't know.
The question's going to be, in a year, are you going to remember it at all?
I
I'll
might
have to come
repress
back.
it again. So I don't know if I've seen this or not. You seem convinced that I have. I don't know that I have.
Yeah.
Or not. I'm 50-50. Either way, yeah, this had a lot of South Park humor and a lot of not. I think some of the tropey stuff was fun, like just tropes on like action movies, you know, like some of the character stuff, like the two girls automatically being in love with the dude, and like some of that was kind of fun. But overall, I don't know.
The dialogue.
It's kind of... It's not really my thing, to be honest. I think the satire of America, like, you know, it's on the nose, but it's like pretty good satire. I guess like it's pretty good satire of how America is towards foreign relations and things like that. Like, we do just sweep in there and like try and solve everything and make things worse. So it's like I can hand it that I thought that was fairly good, but I think like when they like try to make fun of other cultures, I feel like it's just dumb. Like, they don't make fun of anything that could be meaningful satire. Instead, they just make fun of people's languages and how they look and just
And
like
how they speak.
Yeah, exactly.
well.
How they speak, how they look. And it's just, to me, it's just like punching down instead of punching up. And humor to me should always be punching up. Like,
Punching down was like a trademark of humor in comedy from around that time.
yeah,
So
and I don't like it. It's just mean-spirited, and as somebody who's half Egyptian, I found a lot of it like kind of intolerable and just racist. I don't know. Like, I just couldn't
That's fair.
swallow that.
That's
But like I said, I like some of the other aspects that didn't focus so much on like the stupid like I don't know. I feel like South Park can kind of be racist and weird like that too sometimes.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a critique I have of the creators overall. And I know they like, quote unquote, making fun of everyone. But like I said, like, I feel like it's better when you're making fun from within. You know, they're white Americans, and I feel like it's better satire when they make fun of white Americans, you know?
To be fair, that is the main punching bag of the story.
Right, and I think that part is pretty good. But I think when they try and make fun of everyone, quote unquote, they don't do a very good job because they're not part of that demographic, you know? So I think it just feels like mean-spirited, like I said. Whereas I think if you're going to satirize something, satirize yourself, you know? At least that's how I feel about it. But aside from that, I think, like, the plot's pretty fast-paced, I guess. Like, I wasn't bored necessarily, just kind of weirded out a lot of the time. So I have mixed feelings, but it's definitely not something that I would say I liked. I would say I thought certain parts were pretty good, but I think, like, overwhelmingly there were too many things that bothered me for me to really like it.
You said that you thought you weren't bored. I was checking the time at least like 6 times throughout this, thinking, when is it over? And I was like 30 minutes in the first time I checked, and I'm like, it's still not done?
Well, there you go.
I mean, I think I agree with your fast-paced thing as far as an action movie goes, because I think it kind of to be fair, from what I know about the behind-the-scenes stuff, they did not want this thing to be longer because they were producing, probably like their 7th or 8th season of South Park simultaneously while doing this and writing a musical and doing, like, they were doing so many things at that point in time that I think by the end of it, they felt just dead completely. And I don't think they wanted to make another movie after this. I think they're talking about doing Book of Mormon as a movie now, but this is like their 5th movie, and it was like the biggest budget one of all.
Wait, they're gonna do it as puppets? Or what?
No, I don't think they want to do puppets again.
Okay.
I think they wanted to do this because it was such a weird idea.
Wait, how are they gonna make Book of Mormon a movie? What are they gonna do?
By just making it a movie.
Like a live action?
Yes.
Like a live action of the musical?
They wrote the musical, so they have the rights.
Okay.
Interesting.
I mean, as far as something, I've seen it. As far as a musical goes, I could see it. I think it would work. But yeah, as far as this goes, what the hell was I talking about?
You talking about they didn't want to make it longer?
Yeah, no, I think that it kind of goes along with, like, it hits the plot points and it just starts going. I don't think it wants to stick on any one thing for very long, which to some degree I think is good. I kind of miss the tight 90-minute action movie of like the 80s and 90s a little bit, which this is an hour and 45 minutes. So, but it's also an action movie, kind of, only a little bit. It's much more supposed to be a political satire and a gross out absurdist comedy.
Yeah. Okay. I would say pacing wise, it definitely felt a lot more like a comedy, considering like just the story beats, because they play out more like a comedy movie than they play out like an action movie.
Okay, my question is, I didn't understand, and maybe it just went right past me. Why was the one guy, why was like Korea and the Middle East like working together?
Because they were...
Is that a thing that's ever happened?
No.
I don't think so. Am I crazy?
Because at the time, Kim Jong-un was one of those like world leaders that was like, oh, this is the face of the entire like country that is straight up constantly says we hate America and want to destroy America. So they just basically made him into a Bond villain. Yeah. I mean, like, you could... I don't want to get a lot into a ton of geopolitical stuff from the time, but we have to. It's in here. It's what it's about. But like, you could say, like, Osama bin Laden.
Yeah.
Not the head of a country.
No.
Head of a terrorist organization, involved with a lot of stuff, but not the head of an entire nation screaming death to America.
So they wanted to throw somebody like that in.
Yeah, and it's very easy because there's not a lot of controversy about saying the leader of the dictator is the bad guy kind of thing. I mean, at the time there was back and forth, and they kind of even cover it here of like should we be involved? Should we not be involved? What is America's place in global politics and the whole being the world police, essentially? And I like that they kind of hit both sides of it of like, yeah, on the one hand, sometimes you do, like, it's the dicks, pussies, and assholes speech.
I think they never want to take a stance, and that's something that also bothers me about them.
A little bit.
They never want to have, like, a real opinion. And it's like...
I feel like...
I don't get it.
From watching the show, at least South Park, I feel like on some things they do have opinions, but I don't think they have opinions a lot of times on, like, global politics. Or things
or
like
American
that.
politics.
Sometimes, but
Though I
often
can tell the undertones they're more conservative. But I think they don't
Yeah,
want to say
a
that they
little
are. They don't want to go either way. But
they
I can
have
tell.
come out as saying that they are.
Oh, they have.
I mean,
Yeah.
I thought they were
the
quote unquote
thing-
libertarian or whatever.
Oh, I could absolutely see that, but I think a lot of people tend to put that over into the right wing area. A little
I
bit.
know,
They-
but like
They do.
You know.
Yes. I mean, it definitely, like, the humor leans that way
Yeah.
very much, so it's not that much of a surprise.
I think if I'm remembering correctly, the main premise that they had behind this, outside of essentially wanting to make a remake of the show Thunderbirds, which was a puppet show exactly like this, but back in the 60s, and they had a bunch of
Okay.
flying vehicles and all that sort of stuff. I actually think I remember seeing some stuff from it.
Hmm.
Really weird when you're a kid, but
I bet.
yeah. I think one of the things they were like talking about, because they obviously covered season 4 onward, had to have something to do with like, post 9/11 stuff, because that was all of America at that point. I think one of the things they had about whenever like Iraq was being invaded, there was constant news coverage, as there has been.
Right.
And I think one of the things they were like, why is the news constantly just asking celebrities and people with no like military, political, geopolitical, no expertise in any of this? It's constantly, what are their opinions? Not, let's talk to a scientist, or let's talk to a professor, or let's talk to an ex-military whoever, or a foreign dignitary of like all these things. No. We need to know what Sean Penn's thinking.
Oh yeah.
And that was kind of what they were covering there. And I don't
Like
know,
with
there
Alec
is-
Baldwin.
Yes,
Yeah.
with Alec Baldwin, and it's the Screen Actors Guild, but not here. We're not going to say it, but
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, you do have a bit of a point there.
Yeah. I think some of the, like I said, some
Yeah.
of the satire was good and some of it was bad.
Yeah.
I think it's
Um,
like, I don't know, it's half and half.
Yeah, and I mean, that does make it funny that it's like, okay, so the most powerful people in the world are actors and celebrities, and it's like, okay, wow, so nothing's changed in 20 years.
True.
We're still
No.
going into foreign countries and doing stupid shit and trying to be the world police, and then we're also mostly getting our opinions from people who don't know what they're talking about, usually.
Yeah, because that's
Yeah.
who the common people idolize is
Yeah.
celebrities and people they see in movies and stuff. Like, who idolizes science? I mean, some people idolize scientists, but like, it's rare, you know?
Like we used to.
I mean,
if you
we
look,
used to, and also people in their own circles tend to
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
idolize each other or compete with each other.
But not like the general
Depending.
public.
yeah,
you know?
generally
Yeah.
now anymore, experts are not really like looked upon as a credible source for anything, despite the fact that that's kind of what their whole purpose is.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's tough because it's like, on the one hand, I'm like, oh, it's from 20 years ago. It's silly. It's probably dated very poorly, and some things have
Yeah.
aged very
Some
poorly.
things in there were never okay. Let's
Some-
just be clear
yeah.
about that. It was
But-
never okay.
At the same time, some things seem to have aged dramatically well.
Yeah.
I will say this, as far as things that age well, the puppetry here is fantastic still. And like
Yeah.
the sets and everything, I gotta give them so much points for like building all of this stuff. And if you look at any behind the scenes photos of some of this, like those puppets are like 2 feet tall minimum, and have like, I think they needed like 3 or 4 people to operate each one of them. So especially when you get to those larger, like wider shots in the movie, it's like, this is genuinely impressive
Yeah.
what you've done. Did anyone else, because I mentioned this to you, like the amount of detail that goes into some of those sets, like did you notice like in the beginning of the movie when they're in France, the cobblestones are made out of croissants?
Yeah, I can find that out. That's
It's, like, I think that was the first time I noticed that.
funny. Uh-huh. The sets were pretty good.
Yeah. Which, it's funny because we've already mentioned they like to make fun of everybody, and they like to troll everybody a little bit. The opening shot of this movie was meant to troll all the producers of the movie.
So,
Because
really?
there were some people from this is Paramount, from Paramount
Right.
who were like, we should not give these guys a movie they're dumbasses. They make South Park. I mean, why are we giving them a movie? Why are we giving them like a couple $1 million to do this? And they didn't really show anyone dailies, which is like the rough cut footage from your day-to-day shoots. So the producers really didn't see this until they had an edit together of the whole movie. And so that first shot was the shitty-looking puppet in front of the shitty-looking background. And literally as soon as that shot showed up, apparently one of the producers jumped up and said, "I knew it! They fucked us!" And then it opens up into this big, beautiful, like, Parisian thing. So it was just a one little, quick little, yeah, fuck you. We know.
I don't even know if I noticed it.
You don't, because you're not thinking about that.
Yeah.
But
yes, the producers would be.
Yeah, you sunk a couple million into this, and it's like
that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's one of those jokes that's like that's actually pretty funny.
So did this movie like make money? Did people watch it?
I remember when it came out, it was a relatively big deal. Like I don't think it made like tons of. It made back. Okay, so it had a budget of $32 million, which is
make
impressive.
51 back.
It made $51 million back, which I think advertising might have been a little less. It broke even about maybe a little bit of profit, but I think what it actually made back was on probably like home video, DVD kind of stuff. But yeah, at the box office was not gangbusters. I don't think you could have this be.
No.
But
I mean, I don't think anyone was expecting it to be either.
No.
So
I mean, I think that's kind of their bread and butter, is to make something that no one else would. So, as far as like, this is going to be a tough thing to ask you guys because I don't really feel like either of you really like the movie. But did anyone have a favorite character or scene?
With the one with the cats.
Oh, of course.
Oh yeah, they had the real cats. That was cute.
Yes, Kim Jong-un. It's Kim Jong-il, and now we have Kim Jong-un because Kim Jong-il is now dead. Kim Jong-il's Panthers.
I'd have to really think. Maybe you should go.
Weirdly enough, I still think the Dick's Pussy's an Asshole speech kind of works on some level still. I mean, any of the action scenes still kind of work for how ridiculous they are. And nothing for nothing, it is kind of fun to watch a bunch of like big important landmarks just get blown up by accident.
As they do. Do you want to read us Envy's thoughts?
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, he couldn't make it.
Maybe he liked
it. He did send me. Yeah, he sent me an email. Overall, I'd give the movie a light yay. I didn't laugh as much as I thought I would, given its creators, but I was entertained. I can't imagine how much work the puppeteers worked on this film. I'd say as a whole, the film balances out with in-your-face crass humor with smart commentary in its own way. It is made by the creators of South Park, after all. Side note 1, the puke scene creeped me out more than the sex scene. The sex scene was just what people used to do with dolls in their imagination. Side note 2, I love America Fuck Yeah the most by far as far as the songs go. I love it. I love it's become a staple of pop culture where you can play it when both something good or bad happens in the United States.
Okay, yeah, I would say America Fuck Yeah was my favorite part.
That is the most endearing thing of this.
It's the most endearing thing about the movie.
I think I'm using the wrong word. It's the longest lasting impact of this movie is that we got the America Fuck Yeah meme.
Yeah, that had to be the best part.
I honestly think like a lot of the songs aren't bad though.
I don't remember any of the others. What were they? I'm already repressing it.
What about you? You don't remember? Like you literally said, "Is this a George Strait song?"
Oh yeah, they did a good job parodying the country songs.
Yeah. What would you do?
It sounds just like a George Strait song.
I'm like, do you know what that reminded me of? It just reminded me of like a lot of songs that you would hear, just sort of representative, like, I guess I didn't really remember hearing a lot of them until, like, after 9/11.
Yeah, because that's when they were
when
all
written. Of those, because that's when all of them came out. I was just like, oh gosh, this takes me back.
Yeah, they sound just like that, so they did a really good job with that parody part.
I need to look it up. Ladder to Heaven was the episode in season 6 that was kind of like parodying a lot of post 9/11 songs and like a lot of country artists who, I think they made jokes that they were essentially saying like a lot of these guys are just exploiting like national tragedy for money a little bit. I think the main one that they were going after, that one was Alan Jackson.
Yeah.
You're more of a country fan. Like, did he do a lot of... Okay. So that's kind of...
I mean, my dad's definitely a country fan, so I've heard a lot of country.
Yeah. But they've kind of, like, weirdly enough, I feel like they covered a lot of the things that they covered in this in South Park to some degree. I mean, like, their first episode in season, I think it was season 4, because came out like 2 weeks after 9/11, and immediately they were like, well, we got to do something. So it was all of that stuff, which is actually, it's not a bad episode. My favorite one, weirdly enough, like, I think my favorite song is not from this movie. It's a holdover from South Park. It's the montage song. Because weirdly enough, it just fucking works, I think. But yeah, that's from the skiing episode, which again, one of their better episodes early on, I think. But yeah, so probably my favorite song there. Outside of America, I think America Fuck Yeah has to be at the top.
Yeah.
Just for its cultural impact. But there's weirdly enough, I feel like there's a lot to talk about and yet not a lot to talk about here.
I mean, there's only so much you can talk about with a movie versus 3 episodes of a show.
Yeah.
I feel like if it had done a better job, or at least had done a little more satiricalness rather than just, you know, the kind of humor that they're known for, maybe there'd be more to talk about. But I feel like that would lean more into like political commentary about what was going on at the time. I don't know. I feel like that would be a more interesting discussion to have been had.
In fairness, though, I don't know that anyone here, like, I remember some of it. But again, middle school for me.
I was 9 years old.
Yeah, so we're not...
I only remember what I know from the news, which my parents watched a lot of a certain news network, as y'all know.
Yeah.
So I might have heard a little bit more of this side of the argument than probably what I should have. Because a lot of this sounds very familiar to my ears.
Yeah, it's...
Unfortunately.
Like, I kind of wonder about some of that, because I feel like sometimes, like, some people don't know when they're being satirized all the time. Like, there's a lot of people who thought the Colbert Report was, like, straight. Like, it wasn't a joke. At least talking about things that were also happening at that time. But,
so what do you mean in regards to this?
In regards to this, I think there's probably a lot of people who would watch this and be like, they're not making fun of, like, America or America's foreign policy at all.
Which is definitely how I would have taken some of this.
Yeah, but I think there's... Oh, go ahead.
It's just like, because this reminds me a lot of, like, the tone and the attitude of that time.
Yeah.
At least from the stuff that I had heard in my own household. So there would have been a lot of people that probably would have thought that this was going a little more straight than satirical for sure.
And I think, like, no matter what, like, there is a sort of conservative stance to this movie as well. Like, I think in a certain way, I agree with, like, America shouldn't, like, get involved with everything and then, like, fuck everything up. But at the same time, a lot of conservatives, like, make this argument that America should just be for America and not even care about other countries and therefore not get involved for that reason. So I think sometimes they take it to, like, another level that I could see this movie trying to imply that, like, we shouldn't be involved in foreign policy at all and America should only care about itself and blah, 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 you know? Like, and I hear that a lot from, like, conservatives all the time, you know, that it's like, you know, we have too many problems ourselves and we shouldn't get involved or help other countries at all. Yeah, so, I don't know. I just, like, some of it is, like, not stuff that I would agree with.
It's all very complicated issues that...
Yeah.
I don't think there's ever been a good answer for anything.
Yeah.
On it, unfortunately.
And I think there are a few different ways you could interpret this.
No, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah. some of it's a little more questionable than, I don't know.
Yeah. As far as if they were just making a straight up just goofy ass action film, it kind of is fantastic. Oh, as someone who's a fan of some modern musicals, how are your feelings on their takes on them a little bit? Because we had
the songs.
Well, we had Lise the musical. Because I know you're a
yes.
Oh, Lise the musical.
Yeah.
Everybody has AIDS.
That was pretty funny.
Oh, yes.
So true.
I think they had that. And what were your thoughts on Cats?
Oh my god. I hate cats too, so I think this was a good representation of how terrible cats really is.
Oh my god.
So, you know what? They're right. Cats
Oh my
sucks.
gosh. As someone who grew up with, like, in a high school where there were a shit ton of, like, people who would just wear the the cat t-shirts that just have, like, the yellow eyes and with, like, a black shirt.
The poster
like,
for the movie.
Yes, there were just so many people who had those shirts, so I was always under this impression that it was some sort of amazing musical, and then, like, everything comes out, like, about the movie. I'm just like, is this even anything like
Okay.
the musical?
Let me go on a rant about cats for a second.
Okay.
Cats, the
Keep
original.
it to 5 minutes.
I'll keep it to a very short spiel. Cats, the original musical, is terrible in and of itself. It's just a bunch of songs that were originally poems strung together. It has no meaning whatsoever, and it's just a bunch of really scary dances. Like, I had the video.
Everyone
For
had
some
the video.
reason,
I don't know.
everyone
Everyone had the video.
somehow. I had the video of the stage performance. Scarred me for life. The songs get in your head and just torture you all day and night. And there's nothing good about cats. They look scary on stage. All the costumes are terrifying. I hate everything about that musical. So yes, I believe every word that they said in the movie about cats.
I feel like we need to
Okay.
watch 2019's Cats and then talk about that because it's basically anime.
I feel like
I mean,
that one's
it's on the
also
list.
terrifying.
Is it on the list?
I did not put it on there, but maybe I will have to. Perhaps.
It might
Well-
be slightly less terrifying than the original, I gotta be honest.
I want to see if we can find the butthole cut.
No, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Most of the cast here is just the two guys from South Park because that's their wheelhouse is just to be everybody more or less.
Right.
One notable exception is Wadsworth with Darren Norris. I'm always happy to see him in anything. So
Okay.
glad that he was here. Yeah, and I like that his chair never stops moving no matter what shot he's in. Other than that, I don't know. Anything else we should cover?
Not really. I mean, Envy covered my opinion on the vomit scene. The
Yeah.
Disney plan.
Yeah.
Nobody likes the vomit scene.
You know, it's
It was so much.
Yeah.
It was entirely too much.
Excessive.
if it was like a live action, he'd be dead.
Like,
He'd just be a dead man.
I feel like it was meant to be played for comedy,
Yeah.
but I feel like it overstayed its welcome.
Yeah. I don't know if that was one element that they had an issue with. This had such a tough time getting the R rating because
Really?
they kept giving it like an X rating from the MPAA.
Oh.
Which means they could not have shown it in theaters outside of porn theaters, essentially.
Wow.
So, and it kind of, if you look up what they have to say about it, because they went into a lot more detail, I think, about it in interviews. But they made a ton of different cuts of this movie, adding certain things, subtracting certain things, switching around certain things, the way they were edited. And for whatever reason, every time they sent it in and then they got feedback, they were like, it was a completely different list of stuff. Of like, here's what the
Oh.
problems are. And then they would put back scenes that had to be cut before, and then they weren't a problem. Like, the sex scene, for one thing, got cut for so many different reasons, and then they made watered down versions of it that were way less explicit, and they still got the X ratings, and then they came back and they were like, hey, we're gonna have a more explicit one. Screw it, why not? And then it got an R rating inexplicably. It's
Wow.
It's like there's no set rules for it. It's completely subjective.
I think they may have had a different panel look at each one then.
Yeah, so it's pretty much just keep going. Oh, sorry, it was NC-17, not X rating. So,
Okay.
yeah. they don't. I don't know that they maybe just don't have like a regular set of actual guidelines, and it's just a group of people who are just making arbitrary decisions, which is a little weird. But I get that's the trouble with like art and trying to rate, censor, or do anything like that. It's like this is subjective. Everything is subjective, unfortunately.
True. It really, I think, depends on the sensibilities of the people viewing it.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like what some websites, Tumblr comes to mind right now, where it's like community, like sort of based like censorship guidelines, where people, if they see specific kinds of content that they feel fall into a couple different categories, they'll flag it for a certain thing, so that way people who have that kind of content locked won't see it. But it's really up to people to find it so they can actually mark it as such. That's at least how it's going right now. I don't know if they've changed the rules again.
Yeah, it's tough because you kind of constantly have to change the rules on it.
True.
I'm trying to see if there's any other stuff. Maurice LaMarche was Alec Baldwin in this. He's the voice of the Brain from Pinky and the Brain. So that's fun.
I love the Brain.
Other than that, what I want to point out is that, like, first off, the puppets all look great as far as like characterization, especially like the celebrity puppets and that. The one thing that I think kind of came up sort of like as an accident was like whenever they got all the puppets, they looked at them all and they're like, oh, this one looks good, this one looks good, this one looks good. Matt Damon's puppet, they were like, he looks brain dead.
Wow.
Like every other puppet seems to like look fine, but Matt Damon's puppet looks brain dead. I think they did have like a whole storyline and like a bunch of dialogue for him. They're like, he looks brain dead. I'm pretty sure if like I saw his puppet, he'd be like, he could only say his own name. So that was the whole joke. He just Matt Damon. It's just such a bizarre joke. It's probably less funny now that I've explained it, but I thought it was hilarious every time I saw it. I was like, why does he only say that name?
Yeah.
What'd you think about Kim Jong-il being a cockroach from outer space?
What's going on there?
I feel like it's kind of one of those things where it's kind of like, you think you've killed them, they're just going to come back. He's like a cockroach.
Yeah. And
he'll just come in a different form.
It almost felt like the most South Park thing to me, because it's like, here you have this like super over the top thing. It's so cartoonishly ridiculous. Oh, of course, it's literally cartoonishly ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yes. But maybe that was their way of trying to set up for a sequel.
I don't think they were going to try. Everything that I've heard them say in interviews about like the process of making this movie, they would never want to do a sequel.
I mean, fair.
Yeah. So
it's a lot of it looks like it was a lot of work. I can guarantee puppets are way harder to work with than actual people.
Oh yeah. So I think that's everything that I wanted to bring up about it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Well, Envy said he was a light yay. I think I'm a light yay here as well. I still do find a lot of the weird stuff in this funny. And yeah, a lot of it also, I look at it like, different time that this was made in. But at the same time, it's like, some of this still does work. Some of it is still pretty funny. And it is still, just from a filmmaking standpoint, really impressive. So yeah, I'm still probably like, not something I would put on a regular every day, but like every now and then I might be like, you know what? I'll rewatch a couple scenes from this.
I'd say like the puppets and the scenery were well done. I think like a lot of it was goofy and dumb. And I think the political satire is not very well thought through in a lot of places. And I think I just have a lot of critiques of their political leanings overall. And a lot of the like racist stuff I can't get past. So I would say like it's gotta be a nay for me, but it has like good elements to it. Like it's not all bad, but I feel like the bad outweighs the good for me.
Yeah, I'm also leaning more toward a nay for this one. Like, I will say the work they did is yes, very impressive. I will just say that I agree with Ian that a lot of it comes off as like pretty insensitive and like definitely, it hasn't aged well, obviously. And I feel like, granted, this is South Park people we're talking about here, so I don't know what else I expected. But I will just say that as far as for me goes, it's just nah. It's just nah.
That's fair. Well, you don't have to watch it again. You can mark it off your list at this point, so.
I know.
All right.
Check.
I might forget I watched it like 5 years from now.
So I can show it to
I
you
will
again
not.
and torture you all over again. No, now you'll be able to point to this and be like, no, I did watch it.
I did see it, actually.
My brain is scarred, okay?
Oh, no. All right, well, anyway, let's move back to some actual America anime for America Month and on our anime podcast thingy. So, moving forward, we're going to have shows that just primarily feature Americans doing American stuff, or, what was the meme that I used? Be the American the Japanese think you are. So, with that in mind, I think Black Lagoon's a great place to start. 3/4 of that main cast are American, and they are pretty American. So
sounds about right.
Yeah, that'll be good. We got Bakano. That's one of my favorites from.
It's so good. I love Bakano.
And then the Token Americans, which is going to be just a fun grab bag of all sorts of weird shit. I'm really looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so come back for Black Lagoon and everything else we got going on this month, and whatever else we got going on the channel in general. Come check out some of our game stuff and all that other good things. We're playing a bunch of different things right now, so yeah, we'll see you guys around. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Hey, thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon for notifications. If you enjoyed this video, give us a like, and if you haven't already, check out some of our previous episodes, our daily gaming videos, or our parody series Madoka Magically Abridged. See you next time!